Yeah, I think it's good to hop in here and really look at kind of the changing tide. Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs are probably one of the best metrics heading into Q4 about really TradFi's sentiment on crypto. I still can't get over the fact that there's $60 billion in 3 quarters coming into Bitcoin ETFs. These have to be some. I know it's number one, but I wonder out of number 1, 2, 3, 4, how many of the top 10 ETFs launched of all time are Bitcoin ETFs? I don't know if you guys want to add anything here, but this is just great to see. They're definitely buying more Bitcoin than being produced every day. And when they're buying our bags, it's always a good thing.
Yeah, and we'll get into this more. I know we hit this a couple times throughout this entire podcast or episode, but when institutions and governments and other players start to buy Bitcoin as long-term holders, and there's less available supply on exchanges for sale, then that is really what drives price action in a positive way. So very exciting.
I think that's what we're talking about next, actually, is how some entities, countries, all different kinds of organizations are actually putting Bitcoin in their treasuries now.
Yeah, the big news, or one of the big news this past week, it was Bhutan.
We got a new country.
Yeah, it's really impressive how this was actually known to some people within the industry because they set up all these mine operations, but it's just there's a lot of bad data or just unknown stuff where you can generate alpha knowing this, and they jump from not really being known about to owning more than El Salvador, and El Salvador gets all the news. I mean, this is game theory happening before our eyes, so I love this.
I read that Bhutan has 1/3 of their entire GDP in Bitcoin now.
Bhutan. Babe, wake up. Bhutan just bought Bitcoin. Yeah.
Well, they're actually not buying it. It's important to say here. They're mining it. They're using their like hydropower from the Himalayas or whatever. This is a country near China. It's actually a closed country, so you can't visit if you want to. But they're using their excess natural resources to just print cash. I mean, just talk about kind of a G move.
That's going to be, one day that's going to be realized as one of the best ways to use excess energy. And nobody's really tapped into it right now.
Agreed.
But yeah, that's really cool. Did you want to talk about the Ethereum ETF inflows at all?
Yeah, I mean, so we just touched on this real quick. Ethereum definitely not had the same excitement Bitcoin has had, but ETF flows are starting to be positive, so it's always good to see. Summer lulls kind of ended. That's more of a TradFi thing than, well, crypto has it as well, but definitely a TradFi thing. So just these two, Hill Dobby produces great Dune dashboards. Anyone can go look at these. Great to kind of track, not every day, but week to week, month to month, to make sure kind of the flows are going in the right direction.
One quick comment on the Ethereum ETF inflows. A lot of the ETFs that have been created around Ethereum, those people that are selling them are having trouble selling ETH, not because Ethereum's not exciting or worth buying, but more because they don't know how to speak about it yet. One of the things that I watched last week was the BlackRock head of digital assets, I think it's Robbie Mitchnick, went on the Bankless podcast and talked about how he's talking about digital assets to institutional investors like pension funds, sovereign funds, all these different groups that have an incredible amount of money. And originally they're selling Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has been the most popular. They're still trying to figure out how to sell ETH. They're still figuring out how to talk about it, how to describe it. So I think once people have an easier time describing it, and Mark, you often cite Ethereum as the blockchain app store, or as kind of the place where all of these different applications and networks can be built on top of the Ethereum network. I think once that starts happening, and once people start realizing what Ethereum is, I think it'll be a really exciting play for these institutions that are driving the Bitcoin ETF so much.
Well said. Well said.